You ever wake up one morning thinking you'd finally left all the crazy behind, only to realize, nope, life's got one more rodeo for you? That's how it started for me. Let me put it this way. If I'd known peace and quiet was going to cost me a battle with a wannabe private army and golf carts, maybe I would have bought a condo instead. But then again, I'm too stubborn for that. I bought the old Mallister farm because I was desperate for silence. I'm not talking about the kind you get when you turn off your phone or hide in the bathroom at Thanksgiving. I mean real bone-deep silence, the kind that seeps into your bones and makes your shoulders drop just a little for the first time in years. After 20 years wearing a badge, I'd seen enough drunk sirens and idiots who thought a shiny pickup and a six-pack gave them more rights than sense. You know what I mean. 80 acres in Fannin County was redemption. All those rolling hills and pine thickets, hell, the loudest noise most days was just my own boots crushing the grass. I rebuilt the barn myself, dug the garden back to life, patched the pond, even fixed the sagging porch on that tired old farmhouse. Every board creaked just right. Every inch of dirt felt earned. For the first time since leaving the sheriff's office, I finally slept like a man who didn't owe anyone a damn thing. But peace turns out it's never as permanent as you think. One morning I wake up and there it is, Echo Ranch Estates. The whole horizon overnight sprouted these identical two-story luxury rustic homes, all with those fake shutters and shiny new roofs, looking about as warm as a dentist's office, each with a logo that screamed, "Look, we're living the dream," but really it felt more like a filing cabinet convention. I laughed at first. Folks have a right to build where they want, and my deed, my old yellow deed, never said a word about HOAs or gate codes. My land was older than half the folks moving in, and I planned to keep it that way. I figured, well, let 'em be. What do I care if some folks want to pay extra to have their mailbox match their neighbor's mailbox? I'm just the weird farmer next door, right? Boy, was I wrong. The first sign something was off came early, a golf cart creeping along my fence line, early morning fog curling around the tires. Two people in matching polos and khakis, like they were on a safari, peering at my barn through sunglasses, pointing at my old John Deere with looks that said, "Dangerous equipment." I waved. They didn't wave back. Just kept on rolling like they were doing a population count on zoo animals. I shrugged it off, got back to shoveling stalls. A couple days later, there's a drone. You ever heard a drone when you're not expecting it? After 2 decades around police tech, that sound, man, it's like a mosquito with a warrant. The thing skimmed over my driveway, buzzed above the barn, then floated off towards those shiny new houses. No harm done, I figured, unless it caught me cussing out a goat on camera. Lord knows that goat had it coming. But that wasn't the end. More carts, more matching shirts. Some mornings I'd catch them standing at the fence, whispering like teenagers up to no good, peeking at my tractors, just watching. One afternoon, I spotted a guy kneeling at my property marker, poking it with a stick as if it might turn out to be chocolate-filled. I asked what the hell he was doing. He bolted like I'd fired a warning shot, hopped back in his golf cart, and sped off, not a word. At first, I tried to tell myself maybe it's just overzealous maintenance, maybe they're mapping utilities, checking storm drains, whatever. But these folks had body cameras clipped to their vests, walkie-talkies, and the kind of attitude I'd seen in rookies who just got their first shiny badge. You know, the I'm in charge posture, except in this case, they weren't. The day it all snapped into focus, I was in my workshop, sharpening a blade, when I heard footsteps, gravel crunching where no one should be. I step outside and see this guy head to toe in green HOA security gear walking straight towards my barn camera, out taking photos like he was gathering evidence for a court case. Didn't even notice me. Or maybe he did and figured I was part of the scenery. "Can I help you?" I ask, keeping my voice steady. He jumps honest like he forgot farmers could talk and says, "Sir, we're conducting a perimeter integrity inspection. Your agricultural machinery is exposed and categorized as a potential hazard. HOA directive requires us to document anything within the zone of concern." The zone of concern, I repeat, that's a new one. Interesting vocabulary for a trespasser. He straightens his vest. We're the Echo Ranch Civilian Patrol authorized by community leadership to monitor adjacent properties for safety issues. Well, you might want to monitor yourself stepping back over that line, I told him, because out here you're not authorized to do a damn thing. He opened his mouth about to launch into some memorized speech, but I wasn't interested. I just stared. Sometimes that's all you need, old Sheriff Habit. He backed away, muttering into his radio. I pulled out my phone and called the real sheriff's department. 10 minutes later, the so-called patrol was gone, vanished cart and all, like raccoons at the sound of a shotgun. The deputy filled out a trespass report and promised to let Echo Ranch know next time they'd be seeing charges. I figured, okay, they'd learned their lesson. I was wrong, again. Next morning, I'm fixing a gate hinge when a white SUV rolls up my driveway. New money shine, not a speck of dust, with a golf cart following behind like a toy cop car. SUV stops right at the edge like the dirt might infect it. Out steps Trouble Karen Rivers. You ever see someone who looks like they iron their personality? That's Karen. Clipboard hugged to her chest. Sunglasses big enough to double as riot shields. Beside her, that same HOA officer posture straight out of Cops reruns. She approaches with a smile so tight you'd think she was smelling manure. She was. "Good morning," she chirps like she's addressing a child. "You must be Mr. Bronson." "That's what my land title says," I replied. "Can I help you?" She lifts her clipboard flips to a document. "We had a misunderstanding yesterday. My team reported a hostile confrontation during a routine perimeter assessment." I stared till her smile dropped half an inch. "Your team trespassed on private land." "We were performing a safety inspection," she said, chin up. "Echo Ranch maintains a charter to monitor adjacent undeveloped parcels for hazards." "This isn't an undeveloped parcel. This is my farm, and your charter doesn't mean squat out here." She holds up a paper. Actually, it does. "This document grants Echo Ranch temporary jurisdiction over external perimeters signed by the sheriff's office." Now, for a split second, I was speechless. Not because I believed her, because I recognized the signature belonged to a sheriff who'd retired before Echo Ranch ever existed. "You really expect me to buy this?" I asked. "It's perfectly valid," she insisted. "Our responsibility is to maintain standards, and your property raises concerns. Some of your structures appear unregulated, and there have been odor complaints." "Odor complaints," I nearly laughed. "From who? The deer." Her smile faltered. "Our residents are entitled to a certain quality of life, and your activities may lower property values." At that, I pulled out my phone. "Larry," I said when the sheriff picked up. "You want to come up here? Someone's waving your office's name around." Sheriff Wells showed up in minutes. The man does not waste time when someone tries to play cop. He asks for the document studies. It then fixes Karen with a stare that could peel paint. "This seal hasn't been used in 6 years," he said. "And this signature's from a sheriff who's been retired almost a decade. This is fraudulent." Karen blinks, flustered. "There must be a mistake." "There is," Wells said. "It's you thinking you have any authority here. You have none. Now get off this land or I'll give you a ride to the station." She tried to protest, but all I said was, "Lady, I don't have to be reasonable. I just have to be the owner." She spun on her heels, stormed back to her SUV with her officer trailing behind like a nervous duckling. The golf cart beeped as they rolled out, hitting every pothole on the way. Wells shook his head. "City folks. Every few years they think a mortgage gives them jurisdiction over the county." I watched the dust settle and I knew Karen wasn't done. She just wished she was. After that little showdown, I stopped talking and started fighting back. Called up Roberta Dean, land attorney, so sharp she could cut paper with her eyes. She listened, took one look at Karen's fake paperwork and said, "How hard do you want to hit him?" That afternoon, we filed a cease and desist plus a restraining order. No more Echo Ranch, anything near my land or else. Judge granted it quick. Turns out the clerk's cousin had their own HOA horror story. Funny how fast the system works when someone's got skin in the game. Sheriff Wells personally delivered the injunction to Karen's marble porch, looked satisfied doing it too. A week passed. Then one of their drones fell out of the sky, splashed right into my pond, scared the ducks half to death. Out of curiosity, I fished it out, dried it off, popped the SD card. Hours of surveillance. Not just the field, They'd zoomed in on my kitchen window, filmed my friend's kids at the pond, even caught me undressing out of a rain-soaked shirt, like a peeping Tom with propellers. Roberta was furious. "This is criminal," she said. "We filed to extend the restraining order, prepped a civil suit, and maybe criminal, depending on what the sheriff found. Meanwhile, I put up new trail cameras, all visible, plus a signed smile. You're being watched legally." Next day, another drone hovered at the fence line, didn't cross, just watched. I smiled and went inside. The war had gone digital, and I was ready. And then one night the phone rings. Nervous voice on the other end turns out to be Tobias, former Echo Ranch security. Wants to meet. We sit under a flickering floodlight at the river pull-off neutral ground. The guy looks exhausted, like he's been living in his car. "I didn't sign up for this," he says. "Karen said you were a threat, told us to build a case, make it look like you were violating every code in the book. When we couldn't find anything, she just ramped up the pressure, constant patrols, drone flights, anonymous complaints. And she's not just doing this for the HOA, she's getting bonuses from the developer. Every parcel absorbed, she gets paid." That was the twist. This wasn't about neighborly concern or even HOA control, it was about money. And get this, the main drone pilot, son of Judge Gerald Marlowe. Name gave them cover, made folks think it was all official. Armed with new evidence, we filed everything: drone logs, witness statements, even subpoenaed HOA emails. Meanwhile, I hired Dr. Elise Garnett, environmental consultant, so precise she made inspectors nervous. She found my land was cleaner than most bottled water. 3 days later, state inspectors showed up for a surprise check, walked away empty-handed, even offered a warning. "You're not the first. There's an investigation into these complaints. Someone's been abusing drone flights. If it's connected, they're in trouble." Couple days later, I hear from neighbors. Some of the Echo Ranch folks are asking about dissolving the HOA. Word's getting out. Then the real storm hits. Sheriff shows up, folder in hand. FAA violations, wiretapping evidence, forged documents. Karen's facing charges. County DA moves fast. By noon, Karen's in handcuffs on the evening news, her empire falling apart in front of her stucco palace. The fallout spreads. Internal HOA emails show payments from the developer plans to split my land into 21 private lake estates. The kid with the drones, Justin Marlowe, flips, turns state's witness hands over logs, voice memos, the works. Karen's mugshot makes the front page. The rest of the board resigns or lawyers up. In court, Justin reads Karen's voice memos out loud. Jury looks stunned. Karen never stood a chance. Guilty on every count. Civil trial next. Roberta lays out every trespass, every drone, every false report. The judge awards me $740,000 in damages and legal fees. Echo Ranch HOA is dissolved by court order. Residents file their own lawsuits. Turns out I wasn't the only target, just the first to fight back. When it's all over, I don't celebrate. Not really. I walk my fence line, breathe in the pine air. My land's mine again, not just by title, but by peace. But here's the thing, every year, someone new thinks paperwork and property lines give them a right to control the world. And every year, someone stubborn has to remind them some things just aren't for sale. So tell me, what would you do if they came for your quiet? Where do you draw the line between rules and rights? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about justice and what it means to stand your ground. Because sometimes the only way to keep the peace is to fight for it.